If you, like me, have been making a spectacle of yourself for many a year and have speculated on what natural or medical paths exist to clearer vision, then you've come to the right place. An expert on the workings of the eye and brain from a medical and holistic standpoint, Dr. Rani Banik is back to illuminate how myopia, aka nearsightedness, can be improved. Dr. Banik is a neuro-ophthalmologist and an expert in functional medicine approaches to eye health. Today, she reveals her own myopia breakthrough that came after years of wearing overcorrected lenses. What actually causes myopia? Why do eye doctors say kids need more time outside to safeguard their vision? From eye health foods and supplements to myopia control medicines and laser surgery, Dr. Banik highlights what can help and under what circumstances to ease myopia. Welcome to Vital Signs, where we learn how to get healthier from all angles, from the biochemical and nutritional to the things we do that nourish our minds and our souls. I'm Brendan Fallon. How can we define what is myopia?
So myopia is defined as, basically the lay term is nearsightedness, but it's defined as the image that is projected onto the back of the eye falling in front of the retina. So instead of falling directly onto the retina to be properly focused, the image is focused in front of the retina. Now, there are a few reasons why this can happen. One common reason is that the eye is too long. So if the eye is physically elongated, anatomically elongated, instead of the image falling right onto the retina, the image will fall before. Other reasons why myopia can happen is because there can be a shift in the lens. The lens can be a little bit thicker, and then thus allowing the image to be focused closer to the front of the eye rather than the back of the eye. So there are various different reasons for why myopia can happen.
And is there a particular reason why this tends to appear in children? And I've heard that it levels off in teenage years as opposed to appearing more in adulthood.
Absolutely. So that's a great question. During childhood, the eye is growing. So in reality, when children are first born in their first years of their life, the eye is actually shorter. So the image falls behind the retina rather than on the retina. So the eye is shorter. And then as the child grows, the eye elongates. And usually it stops somewhere around the late teens, early 20s. So actually the growth continues to happen to a certain extent later on beyond the early years. But we are seeing alarming rates of increasing myopia in children, particularly school-age children. It is prevalent in the general population. Actually, across the globe, it's estimated that about 30% of the worldwide population is myopic, which is a staggering number. But now we're seeing that those numbers are significantly increasing in younger age groups.
Right. And as far as efforts to, spanning the full spectrum, well, I guess particularly looking at the potential natural things that we'll talk about today that can be done to reduce myopia, are these things more beneficial for children, or can they be beneficial across the age spectrum?
Based on the research that we have, it's believed that they're more beneficial for children, and then the benefits may drop off after the late teen years. Let's say not late teen, mid-teens, 15, 16 and beyond, there really probably isn't that much benefit because the eye is already grown, the myopia has set in. So the focus right now is to address this in earlier age groups to try to prevent progression of myopia.
And a common advice I hear that is given to parents for their children is the child has to go outside, spend more time outside, and this will potentially help the myopia. Is this largely a case of what they're not doing, like being on devices when they're outside? Or what are the other factors?
That's a great point. Why do we feel that there's benefit of going outdoors? Well, I'll just put it in some context. This whole concept of spending more time outdoors for children to reduce the risk of myopia came about from some studies done in Asia where they looked at school-age children, and they found that when children spent more time outdoors, at least 2 hours a day playing outdoors, that they had reduced rates of myopia progression. And so what is it exactly about being outdoors? Certainly, what you mentioned is important. Now much of our time is spent on screens, and including children, they spend a lot of time on screens, whether it's, doing schoolwork or playing games. And so reducing the amount of near work when someone is outdoors may be a part of the benefit of outdoor time for myopia. Also, it's been hypothesized that sunlight may play a role. Potentially exposure to natural sunlight may also help to reduce myopia progression. We don't yet know, but we do know that at least 2 hours a day is what's recommended. And depending on where you are in the world, some schools have actually mandated recess 2 hours a day during the school day so that the children can get their 2 hours outside. Hopefully that spreads throughout more countries, but there are some countries experimenting with that.
That's fascinating to hear, Dr. Banik. I'd like to explore that further with you, the benefits of sun to vision. Just to take it back a little bit, you mentioned these near-focused tasks, like using devices. Could you say a little bit about what the effect is of devices, particularly on children developing myopia?
Absolutely. And I think to explain, it would be best to illustrate with an eye model, if that's okay.
Please.
For the audience. So in this eye model, I've shown this before in previous programs. So basically, when we look at the eye, we just see the very front part of the eye. But there's a lot of there are many structures inside the eye. So I'm going to give you a peek inside. That there are many, many structures inside the eye. But I'm going to show you one area in particular as I take apart the eye model. This brownish area here is called the ciliary body, and that is contiguous with the iris, which is the colored part of the eye. But there's a muscle in here called the ciliary muscle, the ciliary body muscle, and it's responsible for accommodation. And what that means is basically when we're looking at different distances, our ciliary muscle contracts at different amounts to help us focus images properly onto the back of the eye. So, for example, if we're looking at distance, the ciliary muscle is more relaxed and we're focused for far distance. When we're looking at something either at near, let's say about 14 inches or 33 centimeters, or even at intermediate distance, for example, our computer screen, that ciliary muscle has to contract. So that accommodation process is going on. And we think that when someone is accommodating quite a bit, that may be a trigger in children for the eye to elongate and to get longer, leading to myopia. So going back to your question, Brandon, you mentioned about near tasks, what could this link be between increased near work and myopia? It's because the ciliary muscle back here is constantly accommodating, and it's basically causing a trigger in the eye to elongate. That's what we believe. That's a theory out there.
Constantly tight.
Across the globe, it's estimated that about 30% of the worldwide population is myopic, which is a staggering number. But now we're seeing that those numbers are significantly increasing in younger age groups. So unfortunately, many young people are overcorrected because this accommodation muscle is active when it really shouldn't be. I've had that experience. I was overcorrected for so many years until finally I had a cycloplegic refraction. The true prescription becomes available.
Laser eye surgery. I know other people have also benefited from the surgery, don't have to wear glasses anymore. Is this something that you generally recommend?
It is a relatively safe procedure. But one thing I'll tell you, why is it that the doctors who do the surgery don't get it done on themselves?
To see that full interview and others on how to optimize health, go to ept.ms/vital signs.